everyone, thanks for joining me for yet another episode of Depth, Not Just Headlines. I'm Deborah Anderson, your host. It's National Crime Victims Week. In fact, today marks the end of that week, and it's something that you haven't been hearing much about on the news. Unfortunately, we've been, swamped with political news and understandably a lot of news about the coronavirus because, of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic. But I felt that it was important for people to be made aware of how many victims are really out there. Children being exploited, right? Immigrants being turned into sex slaves. And I live in a hotbed for that, right here in Atlanta, Georgia, unfortunately, where sex slave industry is just rife. And they've been doing a lot to combat that situation, but unfortunately, it is still of serious concern here. And something I want to point out, to you all is ICE, which is the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, a name that brings a bitter taste to the mouth of many people. But what many of us are unaware of, right, is the extent of work that's undertaken by ICE to protect the victims of crimes. And I am going to use today's episode to really highlight that situation. All right, and first I'm going to start with some figures, right? ICE has its HSI Victim Assistance Program, right? And here are the statistics. This was updated yesterday, just to make you aware that these figures are current. They've so far assisted 2,647 victims, right? Of that number, 811 were for child exploitation, 1,225 were for financial crimes, 428 for human trafficking, 183 for other miscellaneous crimes, and 1,008 minors. Now, if these figures aren't staggering, I'm not quite sure what would move you. So I wanted to look at some of the most important work that ICE has been undertaking, right? And this is they support victims of crimes, such as those that I mentioned earlier. And I may have left out identity theft and cybercrime. Okay, so through ICE Homeland Security Investigations, known as HSI, the agency identifies and rescues victims of crimes even after perpetrators have been arrested. Okay, so I looked at a personal story of this young woman who was helping a couple. She was cleaning their house, taking care of their children. She developed a close friendship with the husband, and they decided she was invited to a party, and next thing you know, she was introduced to a young man at the party who she was supposed to engage in a sexual act with. She declined. However, next thing she was forced to have sex with this person for money. And now this became a regular occurrence where she moved from bar to bar, party to party, and was forced to engage in sexual activities with men for money. And this is one of hundreds or thousands of stories or incidents that we come across, right, on a daily basis that they have to deal with, right? Child exploitation. Combating child exploitation is a top priority for ICE's HSI special agents, right? Each year, millions of children fall prey to sexual predators. These young victims are left with permanent psychological, physical, and emotional scars. So they have a victim assistance program. So if you or anyone you know has been the victim of a sexual crime, right? If you know anyone who is an illegal immigrant, or if you yourself are an illegal immigrant, don't be afraid to approach ICE or go online to look up their victim assistance program. Okay, that would be of great benefit to you. So if we can do something, or if we know something, say something. Keeping quiet would be just as though you committed the crime yourself. All right, you're aiding and abetting, or you're supporting, right, somebody being victimized. Think of whether it was your family member or if it was you. So this week I really felt the need to, or today I felt the need to highlight ICE and just the great work, the team has been undertaking. And I truly hope that you'll check out the website, and they also have the most wanted listed on there. And as I said earlier, the figures that I gave you, they're not figures I made up. Those are figures that I researched and found for myself, that, thousands of immigrants are being victimized. All right. So as we mark the end of National Crime Victims Rights Week, I'm just going to encourage you again, if you or someone you know has been a victim of crime, there are many entities that you can call upon. So it's not just for the immigration crimes, right? Because that's the ICE side. There are entities that deal with victims of crimes as a whole, right? And if you just go online and type in victims of crimes, you'd be amazed as to how many sites, right, are there to assist you, right? So you don't have to suffer it alone, or your friend or family member or co-worker, whomever it is, does not have to undergo the pain and suffering, the psychological effect, the physical effect, the emotional effect of it by themselves. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Depth, Not Just Headlines. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, okay? And I look forward to bringing you in-depth information that's not just every day, but goes beyond the headlines, okay? I'm Deborah Anderson.